Water is said to evaporate when it gets converted from its liquid to gaseous form, that is the water vapor. We know that evaporation requires heat energy, but do you know that light can also cause water to evaporate? In a study that was conducted last year, scientists at MIT found that light could cause evaporation of water from the surface of a hydrogel that was soaked in water. They call this as the photomolecular effect. Photos for the photons of light, molecular for separation of the different molecules of water. In current study, it was found that light did not require any specific kind of surface to cause evaporation of water, but it can happen on any surface. It could be a plain surface like an open surface of a sea or an ocean, or a curved surface like that of a raindrop or a water droplet that is there inside the cloud. They also found that various factors like the color of light, wavelength, its angle of incidence, and its polarization can affect the evaporation. The scientists could not explain why the color of the light would affect the process of evaporation, for which further studies are needed. For now, they think it is a phenomena that happens in general in the nature. Since human body does not have a special organ to perceive time, the brain relies on the sensory information that it receives and experiences. Haven't we always experienced time to slow down when we are sad or in pain? It is not just our emotions that affect how we perceive the movement of time, but our visual system also has an effect of its own. In a recent study, scientists wanted to see how the size of an image, the level of clutter in the image, that is how cluttered it is with having many objects or less objects, more detailed or less detailed, and the memorability of an image, how all these three can affect the way our brains look at the speed of time. So for this, they showed various images to 52 different participants for 1 second each. They asked the participants to note down the time for which they thought they were shown the image as either short or long. They found that for images that were larger in size and the images that were more cluttered were thought to have been shown for a very short duration. Remember, all these images were shown just for 1 second. When we look at more cluttered images, the time seems to have moved fast. For example, an image of an empty room would be thought to be shown for a longer duration versus an image of a closet which is full of clothes. The scientists think that the brain is able to take in the details of a less detailed scene quickly, and so it feels that the time is moving slowly. But when there is a much more complex, more cluttered scene presented, then the brain does not get enough time to take in all that information, so it feels that the time moved fast. Think of it as you standing on a road and then two cars passing across you. One shooting past at a speed of 150 kilometers versus the other that moved at 20 kilometers per hour. Now it will be easy for you to remember the color and the type of the car which was moving slowly. Since the brain could not take in all the details and needed more time to process the image, it appears as if the time was short, and the images which were processed quickly and made the participants feel like they spent more time looking at them were found to be more memorable. That is, they remembered it even the next day. And we all know how if we have looked at something for a longer time, it is easy for us to remember. Now it seems that we are even able to remember things that we thought we had looked at for a longer time. There exists a family of fish called cichlid that has 240 different species of fish. There is a variety in their size, shape, food that they eat, and habitat. Some of the species would eat plants, others would eat eggs, insects, and even other fish. When it comes to their size, some fish are as small as a paperclip and some as large as a meter long. This huge diversity of the cichlid fish family has made it possible for it to inhabit the entire 32,000 square kilometer area of Lake Tanganyika in Africa. The different regions of this lake would include sandy surface, stony floors of the lake bed. One of the fish even lives inside snail shells. Scientists have been intrigued by the evolution of cichlid fish into such diverse species. The role of environment is known to drive evolution, but the various species of the cichlid fish have evolved in the same environment. Behavior is another factor that drives evolution, but it has not been tested yet, which made the scientists at the University of Basel to study the behavior of 57 different species of cichlid. They created ponds to study the behavior of these different species in a new environment. So once they will introduce the fish, then they would track its movement inside the pond. Some of the fish were found to move very little, but other fish would explore the entire pond within a few minutes. Fish are known to move and explore in a new environment with caution. And yet, some of the cichlid fish explored the entire area within a few minutes. Scientists identified the gene which might be making these fish fearless. These findings made them conclude that it must have been this fearless and adventurous behavior of the cichlid fish ancestors that made them explore and inhabit the 32,000 square kilometers of Lake Tanganyika.